Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Dr. Barkis Ophthalmology Tutorials. Today we will continue with the discussion of the chief complaints. Okay, in continuation with the previous video, that is history taking part 2. Now I will be continuing with the further symptoms of ophthalmology, that is headache, photophobia, double vision, colored halos, black spots and the deviation of eye and distorted vision. So let's discuss each one by one now. Coming to the headache. So headache is one of the frequent complaints in ophthalmology OPD. So what are the eye causes or the ocular causes for headache? So many causes for headache, right from your hypertension, from the ENT causes like sinusitis, the dental causes, okay, even the migraine. So there are so many causes for headache. So what will be the ocular causes for headache? The most common ocular cause for headache is always uncorrected refractive error. Okay, so what will be the peculiar feature when the patient is having refractive error as the cause? The patient will have asthenopic symptoms along with the headache, and which worsens by the end of the day, okay, or which worsens by the near work, and the headache is more common in the occipital region. So these are the few features of headache when the cause is refractive error. First cause is the squint, that is obvious manifest squint, or the hidden squint, that is heterophoria. When there is neuromuscular imbalance and the squint, the children will usually have headache as the presenting symptom. And the third common cause for headache is the problems with accommodation and convergence. Okay. If there is any deficiency with accommodation or convergence, children will have headache when they study for longer time. Okay. These are the common ocular problems for headache. Okay. So what you should ask in the history whenever the patient comes with headache. So first, rule out whether it is because of the eye causes or because of the other causes. So for that, ask the questions like, which is the site of headache, whether it's in the frontal region, occipital region, okay, or the temporal side, laterality of the headache, that is whether it's unilateral or bilateral, okay, and the type of headache, whether it's a throbbing type of headache, dull aching type of headache, timings, that is whether it is more in the morning hours or the more in evening hours, or whether the patient is waking up because of the headache, okay, and any aggravating and relieving factors. So by these relieving factors, and also any other ocular symptoms like redness of the eye or watering of eye or the flashes of light which are associated with headache. So these are the common questions which you should ask whenever you are asking about the headache. So depending upon the site, if it is more common in the frontal region, okay, just above the eyebrows or near the nasal bridge, it can be because of the sinusitis, or even the intracranial pathology can present with frontal headache sometimes, whereas the occipital headache is more so because of the refractive errors. Okay, coming to the laterality, if it is unilateral, more common in young females, it goes more in favor of migraine headache. Okay, again the timing of the headache, as the day progresses the headache is worsening, it means that the causes are refractive error or the neuromuscular imbalance like squint or the heterophoria, accommodation or convergence problem. If it is more so in the morning hours or whenever the patient is waking up, or patient is waking up from the sleep because of the headache, then the causes are little serious. It could be because of the intracranial pathology. Then ask about the aggravating and relieving factors. If the headache is getting worsened by the sunlight or the tension, or because of the lack of sleep or disturbance in the diet, then these could be the reasons for your migraine headache. And relieving factors, again these will be relieved by the migrainous headaches will be relieved by the rest or a simple painkiller. Okay, if it is associated with redness or watering of the eye, it could be a cluster headache. Okay, if it is associated with the flashes of light, it could also be a symptom of the migrainous headache. So depending upon the history, you can almost conclude the cause for a headache. So what to do in ophthalmology OPD when the patient comes with headache? So first thing is, now we have differentiated whether the cause is because of the eye or because of the other reasons. Other reasons include, which I told just now, that is the hypertension could be the reason, or migraine, sinusitis, dental problems. Okay, all these can be non-ocular causes. So if you once you have ruled out other causes, then go on examining for the eye pathology. Like the first thing what you should do is vision and proper refraction and correction. So this is very important, checking vision, and in case of children always do cycloplegic refraction and give correction. So the pathology could be here only. The second is always assess for the accommodation and conversions. There is something called as RAF ruler which will be available in the ophthalmology OPDs. So with that you assess the accommodation and convergence. It will also tell whether that accommodation and convergence is appropriate for that age or it is less, and accordingly give the treatment. So do cover uncover test. There may not be obvious squint, means when you do your Hirschberg's test, the corneal reflexes may still be in the center, but when you do cover uncover test, the hidden squint may get manifested. Okay, so to look for the phorias, do cover uncover test, then you may find some intermittent exotropia, and that could be the reasons for headache. And one more thing from the ophthalmology is always examine the optic disc. Examine the optic disc either by your slit lamp biomicroscopy or even the direct ophthalmoscope. Look for papilledema. Okay, you'll be helping the physician by your finding. Okay, the important ophthalmological causes for headache: do vision diffraction correction, give accommodation and convergence correction if it is inefficient, do cover and cover test, see whether the patient is having squint, and then do disc evaluation and rule out papilledema. So coming to the next symptom, that is photophobia. There are two entities called as photophobia and glare. The major difference is photophobia is intolerance to the ambient light, means the normal light only. Patient will not be able to open his eyes, whereas the glare is intolerance to bright light. Like for the bright light of the vehicles, patient may not be able to open the eyes. That is glare. So what are the different causes for photophobia and glare? For the glare, causes can be like early cataractus changes. So this is one of the most common symptom when the patient comes to us in the stages of early cataract. They usually tell that they can't drive in night because of the glare. Then rule out the early cataract or even the posterior subcapsular type of cataract. And the next cause can be mild corneal edema, or whenever the patient has undergone refractive surgeries, patient may experience glare. Whereas the causes for photophobia are anything in the cornea, that is corneal pathology like corneal ulcers, corneal abrasions, okay, even the acute conjunctivitis which is involving cornea again should be a component of keratitis. And even in case of acute anterior uveitis, patients will experience photophobia. So these are the causes for photophobia and glare and the differences between photophobia and glare. Coming to the next important symptom, that is double vision. So whenever the patient comes to you with a symptom of double vision, ask the questions like since how many days, that is duration, onset and progression. This is common. One thing I didn't tell here, that is which eye. Okay, I didn't mention here because it can be either uniocular or binocular, which patient may not differentiate. So whenever patient comes to you with a double vision, first thing what you should ask is whether it is uniocular or binocular, but patients will not be able to differentiate. Then you ask patient to close one eye, see the object. If the double vision is disappearing, then it means that it is binocular double vision or binocular diplopia. So if the double image persists, then the cause is uniocular. Okay. So what are the causes now? So first thing is differentiate whether it's uniocular or binocular. Then go on giving the causes now. So causes for uniocular double vision, we have high degree of keratoconus, even the high degree of astigmatism, double pupil, or the peripheral iridectomy hole which is not covered by the eyelid. So that can also act as a pupil and lead to double vision. If there is subluxation of the lens, then patient will have one image from the phakic area. So this is the pupillary area and there is subluxation of the lens somewhat like this. Then the patient will have one image from this phakic area and one more image from the aphakic area. Okay. And in case of incipient cataract, okay, incipient cataract, sometimes it is given as a cause for uniocular double vision, but most of the time patients will have polyopia here, not exactly double vision. So patient will have multiple images because of the incipient type of cataract. Whereas in the binocular causes, we have the most common is the acute onset squint, that is secondary to paralytic type of squint, and any neuromuscular abnormality like thyroid eye disease, if there is blowout fractures and entrapment of the muscle in the fracture site, if there is any mass which is pushing the eyeball to one side and leading to double vision, or it can be secondary to myasthenia gravis also. So the causes are, in unilateral we have keratoconus, high degree of astigmatism, double pupil, PI which is not covered by eyelid, subluxation of the lens. Okay, it can be the normal lens or even the IOL. In binocular causes, we have paralytic type of squint, thyroid eye diseases, blowout fractures with the entrapment of muscle, any intraorbital mass which is displacing the eyeball, myasthenia gravis. So this is about double vision. So this is more than sufficient for the undergraduates about double vision. So coming to next most important symptom, that is colored halos. I think I have explained about the colored halos in my previous videos. Just for the sake of completion, let me explain it once again. This is one of the important symptom which you should ask when you are examining the ophthalmic patient. So how you ask this question of colored halos, that is also important thing. You should ask, like, whenever you see a bright light like a bulb, do you see colored halos or the colored ring like rainbow around the bright light? So that's how the question should be framed. Then if it is yes, patient will say that yes, I can see. What are the causes for colored halos? We have acute congestive glaucoma, early stages of cataract, and then mucopurulent conjunctivitis. So how you differentiate whether the colored halos is because of mucopurulent conjunctivitis, early cataract changes, or because of the acute angle closure glaucoma? So just irrigate the conjunctival sac with a normal saline, then the discharge from mucopurulent conjunctivitis will be washed out. So the cause is ruled out. If the colored halos have disappeared following the irrigation, it means that the cause is mucopurulent conjunctivitis. If it is still persisting, then you will have to differentiate between acute congestive glaucoma and the early cataract. So that is done by Fincham test. Okay. Here the procedure is, the patient is asked to look at a bright object, then the patient will be seeing the colored halos. Then you just pass a stenopic slit, okay, which will be there in the trial set. Just pass a stenopic slit in front of the patient, then see whether the colored halos is remaining intact or it is broken. If the cause is glaucoma, then the colored halos will be intact. If the cause is cataract, then the colored halos are broken up into multiple segments. Okay, in glaucoma it is intact, in cataract it is broken again. So this is about the colored halos. So moving on to the next symptom, that is black spots. So what is black spot or the floaters? So what is floaters? So how to ask about the floaters? Just ask patient whether he is seeing some moving objects or the moving mosquito-like things in this field of vision. So that indicates that patient might be having floaters. So these floaters can be either physiological or it can be pathological. So most of us might have experienced these floaters. Like whenever we see in the sunlight, we may be seeing some mosquito-like thing which is moving around, and when we try to see that, it will again go to some other place. When we try to concentrate and see that, it will be moved again to the some other place. So this most of us would have experienced. So they are the reasons for our physiological floaters. The characteristic of physiological floaters are, it will just be 1 or 2 in number, and it increases whenever we go in the bright sunlight. If there is sudden increase in these number of floaters, then it may indicate that there is some pathological process behind this. So what are the pathological causes for floaters? Vitreous hemorrhage, okay, very mild degree of vitreous hemorrhage, even the vitreous liquefaction. And in cases of retinal detachment in the early stages, of the retinal detachments, patients will have floaters because of the pigment dispersion into the vitreous cavity. So if there is any opacity in the media, that is vitreous, then it will cast a shadow on the retina, and that is perceived as floaters. And this is one of the most important question which you should ask even when you are examining a patient of cataract or any other anterior segment, because this gives a rough clue about the posterior segment, that is the integrity of the retina. Okay, so this is about floaters. The next symptom is the deviation of eyes. Deviation of eyes, that is squint. History taking in deviation of eye itself is a separate topic. So just for undergraduates and for the sake of completion, so what you should ask again, deviation of eye, questions are common here again. The duration, which eye, duration, onset and progression. So remember, if it is of acute onset of deviation, the causes can be paralysis of the extraocular muscles. So it can be either lateral rectus palsy, that is secondary to sixth nerve. It can be third nerve palsy leading to deviation. So I will be explaining in detail about the deviation of eye in my one more separate video. Just remember, if there is deviation of eye, that is squint, causes you should know, that is secondary to paralysis or non-paralytic type of squint, and then go on differentiating. So this will be elaborated in a separate video. Coming to the last symptom, that is distorted vision. What is distorted vision? That is either the image is small, seen as small, that is called as micropsia, or it can be seen as bigger one, that is called as macropsia, or it can be distorted. Okay, it is called as metamorphopsia. So usually the distorted vision or all these symptoms are secondary to the macular pathology. If there is anything in the macula like ARMD or CNVM, central serous chorioretinopathy, or even the central chorioretinitis, can lead to the distorted vision, that is micropsia, macropsia or metamorphopsia. So this is in detail about the symptoms in ophthalmology. So next we will continue with the examination of patient of ophthalmology. So hope this video was useful to all of you. If you like my videos, please do subscribe to my channel. Press the bell icon for further notification. Please do like and share my videos. Thank you so much.